The weather is set to change this afternoon, but that's in a little while. Let's concentrate on this morning and the first stage, which was the very first stage back in 2004, the first year that Sardinia was included on the WRC calendar. Picked out by the drivers as the roughest stage of the weekend. It's short, it's only 10 kilometres in length, but very, very rough and a true test because it's going to be brand new for all of the drivers this morning. We've got another stage after that which is equally as short. It's only 8 kilometres Terra Nova, but then we head into the Whopper, which is Montelerdo at almost 50 k's. A reminder on your screens that Kalle Rovanperä will be first on the road, and he has obviously been doing some rain dancing in the past week because we've had quite a bit of rain here in Sardinia, unusually so, I have to say. You know, we always think of this island as baking heat, sunshine and holiday vibes, but it's been quite contrasting this year, and we may well get some rain this afternoon. Everyone is keeping a close eye on that. The showers could be localised. I mean, for Kalle Rovanperä, he would have wanted some of the rain to be falling this morning. But as Molly was reporting from the stage end, it was actually quite damp up there. So let's see what this stage will hold and how difficult it is going to be to sweep for our world champions, who are our championship leaders heading into Rally Sardinia as well after a stellar performance in Portugal just a few weeks ago. PK joins me for the morning loop this morning. We've got some special guests coming into commentary as well this afternoon to keep you entertained.
Not that you're not special. I'm your first special guest. Oh, so Kai's the nicest intro you've ever given me, Bex. I'll take that, even if it wasn't actually meant for me. Good morning, Bex.
Good morning, PK. I think it's always fantastic to have a brand new stage, let's say, for our current crop of drivers to kick off an event. It's brand new notes, of course. We'll all be keen to see how the surface is, especially Rovanperä now first on the road. It's looking pretty dry from what we can see out there, even if there was some dampness at the end of the stage. But under the trees here, maybe he will luck out with a little bit of not so quite the dry road as he was expecting.
Yeah, we know from previous editions of this event that it really is tough out there for the guys first in, especially as you mentioned when it remains dry, which it is at the moment. Get a good close-up view of it here from this bumper cam just to see what Kalle's up against. Those 5 soft tyres again. The thing with the tyres is obviously seeing the different tactics already this morning, as you'd expect. It's about allocation. Just 12 of them, haven't they, to get through the whole weekend in terms of the soft tyres and 24 hards. That is what is going to be the issue. Then, you know, historically you want to be switching maybe into the hards in the afternoon when it heats up. But if, as maybe predicted, the rain does come, they don't all necessarily have that option. So that's why there's so much head scratching going on.
A reminder on your screen and of the previous winners here, and an array of drivers. It's Sebastian Ogier who's got the most wins here with 4 currently. Tanak, our latest winner back in 2022, but Neithel's been on the top step of the podium, as has Sordo. Could we see a new top step sitter at the end of the weekend? We will find out. I love the chat that we just heard with Molly and Phil Mills. It was Petter and Phil who set the fastest time on this stage when it was run back in 2004. It was over double the length there, but it was a hero spec time that they set against everyone else. And looking down the list, Marco Martin was second fastest, Harry Rovanperä third fastest through the stage back then.
They're all here this weekend.
Yeah, they're all here this weekend, and so are their sons competing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, apart from Marco, obviously.
Just saying as well, about 50 yards behind us, there is that. I don't know if it's the exact one, but an iconic.
It's not the exact
one anyway. But it just looks resplendent. The blue Subaru Impreza there, sitting proudly in the service park alongside a couple of those old Lancias as well from the 90s and 80s. It's wonderful to see those cars out here for the rally fans that have been out in force already this week. And that super special stage last night here in the city was absolutely packed.
Great to see. People enjoying some sunshine this morning, but they may need a bit of a Mac later on.
Yeah, let's see.
Tanak then, second in the championship. Tyre choice-wise, he's also gone for 5. He's gone 3 soft compound, 2 hard compound tyres this morning.
Yeah, I mean, that to me, that sort of mixture of giving yourself a few options would have been, I guess, sensible. But I think those guys running further up just felt they had absolutely no choice, and they've just got to cling on, haven't they?
You can see he's...
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, just, you can see on the screens, because he's got the 3 soft that hard on the front right. You're right, though, a bit of a mixture maybe would have been the way to go. Who knows? I mean, for Kalle Rovanperä, sweeping away right at the front, you know, the soft is going to be the best option.
Yeah, and I guess even in that long stage, they're counting on the fact that still will have that softer, looser layer, and maybe the temperature's not too bad mid-morning when we first hit that epic Montilerno.
Keerab, osa 2 miinus, hitaas, eli 5 kään. Helppo huomio, stop 6 yli, miinasta stop 6 raju, oikein
Not easy to win from first on the road, of course, but it has been done. Seb Ogier, certainly one of those. He's done it, I guess he's done it a couple of times out of those 4, hasn't he been, if not all of them, being first on the road.
He talked about it yesterday at the press conference. We were asking the drivers there to pick out some of their favourite memories over the years here at Rally Sardinia. And you know, first of all, he mentioned, you know, some of my favourite memories are actually battles I haven't won. You know, the battle against Neuville, where Neuville took the victory by 7/10 of a second. And he also mentioned, you know, winning first on the road, from first on the road, because it is such a difficult job to do here. And Kalle's put his hand up already and admitted it. This isn't an event where he's completely comfortable, and you can see that reflected in his previous results. He said it again just before the event. Look at these sections now.
Yeah.
You can understand why, and I'm sure many of you have heard from social media clips before even, you know, the event has started last night. The drivers referring to this as a little bit safari-esque.
Yeah.
I mean, it did have a little bit of a vibe of safari even before this weather, but look at this replay.
What is that? Is that just going straight into a big clout of mud? Yeah, we're hearing reports of a bit of a mud bath in here, aren't we? Somewhere, like a safari-esque. You can see a few patches in here.
It's the end of stage 3.
Yeah.
The end of Terra Nova. There's a mud hole not too far from the end of the stage.
What we're seeing as well from these pictures is a very indicative of this event. It's so narrow, but as you can see, still pretty quick in places. It's what makes this rally so unique amongst our gravel rallies. It's incredibly narrow, very little margin for error, but still very rapid. So, yeah, you really got to be so neat and tidy and keeping it as tucked into the middle of the road as you can, because there's so much lying on the outside of the road, and all these guys with just one spare tyre. You just think, oh, I guess they're just counting on the first pass being not too bad. But as you can already see right at the beginning here, lots of roadside obstacles. All soft compound Pirellis then for Ogier.
4-time winner. I asked him, you know, what is, if you were to pick out one element, because there's lots of elements to be able to win here, what is the biggest element? And he said, absolutely, if I had to pick one, it's stay out of trouble. Yeah. Stay out of trouble as much as possible.
There's a few more of these slightly damper patches for us.
Yeah, I mean, water splashes, essentially, aren't they?
Yeah.
And that's another thing that the drivers have picked out. They've never seen so many water splashes, deeper puddles on a rally as this one.
Yeah, they're more sort of deep puddles than actual water crossings, aren't they? It's crazy to just see how much rain they have had. These sudden storms up here in the mountains, even with the sun beating down, it's not managed to dry them out completely. And maybe these sections where it is a little bit more damp, of course, that might help out Rovanperä in terms of that loose surface. You can see here it looks slightly more packed in, doesn't it, the gravel? Maybe a little bit more grip to find for the Finn in these sections. He's getting near the finish now.
And that is the first stage complete.
A nice little crest there, almost flying into the flying finish, quite literally, aren't they?
Little roller coaster-esque at the end.
Oh, it's good fun, isn't it, this stage?
I'm loving it so far. 7:27 benchmark time then. Oitanak's 4/10 off the pace of the first split. And we should be able to cross out to Molly.
Kalle, good morning. It's clear that this first stage, very tricky conditions. Tanak is a little bit slower than you on the first split, though. How was it?
Yeah, it was okay. Quite tough, to be honest. It feels that it's quite rough over the first pass, so it's gonna be a really tough day. But yeah, clean run for us, nothing crazy.
Which is good to hear.
And that's what everyone's going to be after, to get things going here. But yeah, as Molly said, all temps down at that first split, just under 5 kilometres for Tanak. Team been working really hard, haven't they, to get everything they can out of this Ford Puma, with their man sitting so strongly in the driver's standings, despite having a little bit of niggles and issues here and there. Does have that one win already, though.
Yeah, he does. I think he's had a good start to the season. There was always going to be that element. You know, he's jumping into a brand new car. He wants to make it better. The team do. It's developing nicely. Let's see what kind of result they can pull out of the bag here.
3, 2, 1, go. 38 left, caution stones, open 6.
Back in action after a heavy accident in Rally Portugal. Elvin Evans and Scott Martin gunning for some good points on the board here. We've had some good chats with Elvin ahead of this event. He said he's feeling physically fine. Confidence levels are okay coming into this one.
I just missed the graphic. I just looked down. Do you see what time it was on at that second?
I didn't.
I
But
just
I
looked
can
down at
tell
the-
you. Hold on.
I looked up and the graphic was just animating off. Good start here for Ogier. That split, look at this, 3 seconds up almost. At almost 5 kilometres then, as he climbed over the mountain, started that descent really strongly. Is that road starting to clean already? It's certainly a lot more loose stuff in those early kilometres before they get to this more hard-packed, damper section. But,
Evans was soft all around.
soft all around, okay.
You are welcome. It is so rough. You can see this from the onward. Let's listen in to whoever we're going to next. Martin, over here.
Getting near the finish, love this section towards the finish. Slower again at the second split, though, compared to Rovanperä. Tanak, 1.4 down there. That's 8.7 kilometres.
läbi augu läheb 4 miinus, suure trapliiniga kisas 50, terapärane 6, stopp finish, 50, vasak 3 veidi, avaneb.
That is quite the little jump towards the end, isn't it? That is Tanak then, safely through the stage. It's 2.1 seconds off the pace of Rovanperä, 7:29.1. We have Ogier, we have Evans in the stage. Brilliant opening split from Seb. Let's cross out to Molly here from Oit.
Right, that's opening stage finish, 2.1 down on Kalle. A very muddy car at the stop line. What were the conditions like?
Yeah, not too bad at all actually. Not so much mud, so quite nice conditions, but yeah, very narrow, so it's not easy to fit the car in there.
It is very whoa, it's just steam coming through the... I was wondering who we were with then, but that was still Oit at the stop line we were seeing there, just steam coming through.
Yeah, I mean, they've gone for a few, as you say, big puddles, maybe just that water evaporating from the top of the bonnet. Yeah, it's interesting even to talk about the actual physical size of the car through some of these narrow sections. It's so difficult, isn't it, just to keep the pace up and also keep it in the middle of the road. Look at this aggression from Sebastian Ogier here. Oh, suspension working so hard as well through some of these crest to crest, and what a wonderful old stage this is. I can't say I remember it from 20 years ago, but it's a cracker.
But then we didn't see it the way we're seeing it now.
No. Fans got a good spot.
Quite wide into that.
So second split for Ogier, Bex.
That's quite amazing, isn't it? Brilliant time on the board then, in comparison to Rovanperä, 6.3 seconds up. I'm keen to see Evans and Neuville's split points now. Neuville, of course, has won here twice before some epic battles with Ogier. I think we all remember that final Sunday where they were just... I don't think I've seen a competition quite like it before or since, where they were battling so fiercely for the win.
Yeah, it's been a really strong event in general, hasn't it, for Hyundai with 5 out of 7 wins. There's confirmation of that record that Ogier's trying to beat his old sparring partner and compatriot Loeb, both of them on 4 victories. Any sort of record he shares with Loeb, you just know he wants to go on better. He loves notching up these little records in the sport. There he goes over the crest. Oof.
Oh, the clock just runs on here.
We'll 7.8, I think that is.
That's an incredible time. 7:19.2 is 7.8 quicker than Robin Perrin, 9.9 quicker than Tanak. Evans is 4.2 slower at the first split. We're waiting for Nivelles to come in, but what a start from Sébastien Ogier.
Good morning. That's an incredible time, almost 8 seconds faster than anybody else. You look surprised.
Definitely. You know, in our day it's difficult to make this kind of gap. I had a decent stage. I thought the end was a bit difficult, so much vertical, so much bump. But it feels fine, so I'm happy with the time, obviously.
Of course you would be, with such a gap.
He's quite surprised as well, doesn't he? As he said, he don't expect to make that big a gain in a tricky little stage like this that's huge distance. So it's under 11 kilometres.
He told me on Wednesday this is one of the rallies where he finds it difficult to judge his pace to the others when he's in a stage. Obviously, they don't receive splits, and we were talking about this. I said, would you like them just to come back for the 50-kilometre stage? And he said, yeah, probably for that one. He said, because you do feel so slow out there, because of the roughness, because you're trying to manage everything, you feel quite slow.
And then the danger is that you start to overdrive, because you start to, gets in the back of your mind, doesn't it? Oh, what's everyone else doing? You're right, and it's another one of those sections that Ogier's referring to, the constant attacking on the suspension, I mean, it was almost a second a kilometre up on Tanak in that stage for Ogier. Incredible start. Let's see what Lappy can do then. Also on all soft Pirellis.
He was leading this rally last year. He was having a good run. Got off to a good start, of course, last night. On the Super Special, he is our overnight leader, Esa-Pekka Lappi. Newville in 3rd position.
And interestingly as well that all the Hyundais have opted, I think you mentioned earlier, that for having 2 spare tyres in their package. They've both got all 3 of them got a couple of cards in the car as well as 4 softs. 2 seconds down though from that incredible benchmark from Ogier so far for Newville. Evans also way off the pace of his teammate. 8.6 down Betts after 8.7 kilometres again. Almost exactly a second a kilometre slower than his teammate.
But we've got to remember he's coming back.
Sorry, Betts ever so drifting towards the nasty, rubbly, rocky edge of the stage there, but he got away with that.
We've got to remember he's coming back after quite a big accident. So we've got to factor that in to everything. Might take him a little while just to get himself back up to pace. Well, we'll hear from him shortly. He can tell us the full story. Let's listen in to Scott here. 7:30, which is 10.8 slower than Ogier's time.
Yeah, 10.8 in a 10.7 kilometre stage. I mean, it's almost tactical, isn't it? The seconds drop there. Newville also.
Elvin, that's more than 10 seconds lost on the first stage. Have you had a problem in there?
No, it's that type of stage, if you're willing to go with a high rhythm and take a few risks, then for sure the time reward is massive, but we were really trying to keep the car in the middle of the road.
Yeah, I think even though Ogier was quite surprised by that, we could see from the way he was driving there was an aggression there. But always with Ogier, it's a managed aggression. He has so much experience. He knows when to be able to push, when to be able to not. And as Elvin has said, he wasn't prepared to take the risk in there. Let's see what this second split is going to be like now.
Yeah, and I think as well with Ogier, it just shows what a class act he is. Remember, it's a new stage for everybody, and it's just that innate ability to get the best out of a stage and you know, you may be a bit more of an open playing field in the second pass through later on, but it's certainly Ogier really just reminding why he's an 8-time world champion. Neuville, sorry, now 5.7 down. Wow.
No one at the moment getting close to that time of Ogier's. We've got Lappi in the stage. We've also got Danny Sordo in. We're waiting for Katsuta and Lube to get underway.
Start to see why so many of them were referring it to be Safari-esque. And we've been speaking to them in the build-up to this event, immediately getting a sense of that sort of terrain. Only a few weeks and we'll be doing the real thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a number of them have said this is a tougher challenge than they get at the Safari. Oh, let's have a look at this. 1.2 up on Ogier, the only driver so far to be passed down.
Just assuming this was going to be an Ogier whitewash, but maybe not. Wow.
Lappi showed great pace here last year.
Yeah.
You know, he really does seem comfortable when it does get pretty tough out there. 7.2 off the pace of Ogier then. It's a 7:26.4 for Neuville.
Nobody's had a bit of a wild ride. He does let out some interesting noises, Thierry, at the end of some stages. Oh, a bit of bodywork missing at the back of Thierry's car there.
Time, it looked like he had a pretty good stage in there, though. How do you feel about your run?
No, not a really good stage, to be honest. Actually, it's much more bumpy than I expected, and I expected to go fast over the bumps. So once I got kicked a bit around, I reduced too much the speed. I felt like it wasn't a great stage. It wasn't a bad stage either, but it was not a very fluent stage.
Yeah, it's similar sort of thing to even Ogier referring to these bumps and just crashing the suspension constantly. I guess it's difficult to get into a rhythm, isn't it? And, but certainly this man thriving in the this aggression from EP. He's still slipped behind a little bit now.
But he is the closest man to him. Let's just listen in to Janne first.
Has he lost a bit of that front right corner there? That's a little bit missing. Get a better view as he comes around the corner here. Yeah, I think he's just getting a nibble out of that front right bumper section. There's so much roadside obstacles, as mentioned. It's a big car as well, that Hyundai i20. Just feel it's good. You really will feel it in these narrow sections. Sort of, yeah, 3.6 down at that first split. That's the split, remember, to EP, his teammate.
Ja nyppy täys 3 vasenlaita, nyppy 2 oikein täys miinus yli 81, vasen nopee. 41, oikein helppo. Jatkuu nyppy oikein täys 3, lyhyt oikein helppo. Hamaa heti nyppy vasen täys miinus 5.
Yeah, you're right, there is a little bit of front right damage there. That bodywork a little bit missing. Let's see the countdown to Ogier's time then. What can EP do? It is going to be slower. 1.7 seconds slower.
Comfortably the best of the rest so far.
Yeah, absolutely. It's 7:20.9. Oh, the jumps. The car is just everywhere.
Yeah, it's like a sort of buckaroo feel.
It is. There we go. There's the damage at the front.
that second fastest through the stage, just 1.7 down, but it's a bit of damage to the front right. What's the story?
I have no idea. For sure, there's a lot of all the compressions and stuff, so maybe the bumper was touching the road and then, yeah, I don't know.
It's a great time.
Yeah, it's a good start.
Karma, it's a good start, but he's keeping it under control. Esa-Pekka Lappi is now second overall to Ogier's lead by 0.4 of a second. Soft compound Pirelli tyre right the way around the car for Taka.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's not the sort of stage that's gravel stage that's sweeping as traditionally as we'd see, because you are seeing a lot of this damp stuff certainly towards the finish here. So, you know, we've seen these some of these incredible times with Sordo and Lubé in recent rallies, haven't we? Certainly in Portugal, really taking advantage of the superior line of grip, but I don't think you're going to see that, certainly not seeing that so much in this stage so far. Ogier still the fastest through so far, third on the road. I think he's just been able to manage the sort of unique characteristics of this stage better than everyone else.
It seems so. It's a superb time. Danny wasn't far away from it at the opening split. He's only 2 seconds down, but 7 seconds slower at the second point. Let's have a look at Taka's time here then. 3 seconds off Ogier, off Lappi at the first split.
That's not a bad start then for Taka.
Yeah, just 1.8 behind Ogier there.
He's managed a fourth best finish here, 2021, Katsuta, so he does have a reasonably good form. If he wanted to bounce back off that frustration of Portugal, he'd actually started relatively well in terms of pace. Just that technical issue on the first morning set him back. But these are the sort of rallies where we expect Taka to do well on, like here and Kenya.
Danny Sordo, of course, with 2 wins. He's also been on the podium, what, a total of 5 times over his career here in Sardinia. He completes 9 seconds off the pace of Ogier. It's a 7:28.2.
I mean, the times, other than sort of Ogier and Lappi so far, that other batch of drivers are all relatively evenly matched. It's just that
it's close, very, very close behind them. It's just been these 2 drivers on this one stage so far. I mean, let's see what Terranova has to offer. That's up next.
Danny, that's 9 seconds lost on the first stage. What was it like in there for you?
It was a nice stage, honestly. I was took a little bit careful because it was really narrow, car moving a little bit from the rear because we have like 2 tires, and yeah, I see some places like I was not pushing really car, but I am happy at the moment.
Yeah, you've got a certain element of the drivers who just have not risked a huge amount in here because they've thought, well, it's maybe a little bit too rough.
It's also an interesting point he makes there about the fact, that all the Hyundais, they are carrying those 2 spare tyres in the back of the car, and you've seen how much bouncing and crests there are in here, and he's just suggesting there, like there's one for Taka. With that extra weight in the rear of the car, you get that pendulum effect with the back of the car being bounced around, and that's just, I guess, a little bit distracting and causing them to lose that bit of rhythm as well. It's the second split for Taka. 5.8 down now, but still relatively strong, isn't it? That's, what's that, about sort of 3rd or 4th best run through so far at that point. Some wonderful spots to come out and watch a bit of rallying in this island.
Yeah, wherever you are watching, whether you are on the island or wherever you are, at home, at work, getting in the old sneaky watch and listen, then welcome along to the coverage.
Start for Lubé as well. It is a little bit drier, isn't it, in that early few kilometres, so maybe a little bit of road sweeping in that section, but yeah, when it starts to get really bumpy and muddy and wet in places towards the finish, it does even out a little bit. See if he can maintain that momentum, though.
Yeah, I mean, for Lube on that opening split, he's only 3/10 slower than Ogier.
Right for 30, 9 right sharp, opens over jump, 20, air, 9 right sharp, left
It could be on for a third best time in here, Taka. See what he can do into this final kilometre or so.
Very narrow. 60, 9 right sharp, brake 50, wait 3 left plus, opens, caution zone.
Third fastest, 6.3 off the pace at the front. Puts him third overall at the moment.
I tell you what, that crest over the past the yellow boards, you've got to get your line right there, or you're in the bushes.
It's so narrow.
It's so narrow. You're basically you're airborne and flown into the red boards.
Great start for Taka then. Let's hear his thoughts on this opening test for 2023 here in Sardinia.
Taka, that's 6.3 down on the fastest time. How did you find this opening stage?
Yeah, quite slippery in the beginning, and then in this section it's getting quite rough actually. So some loose rocks are coming, and I had to avoid. And yeah, it's okay. I was quite careful, but not too bad as what I have been before. So yeah, let's make it through next season.
Yeah, you mentioned his fourth position in 2021, but I said to him yesterday, you have had a good result here. He said, yeah, but mostly this rally hasn't been kind to me. And he was shaking his head because there have been difficulties here in Sardinia for him. But, after that 2021 result, kind of closed the door on them a little.
Yeah, I mean, it is very often about survival, this rally. It's certainly a thinking man's rally. You can't go flat out from start to finish, and it's just not possible through some of these stages. Certainly, here in Taka, they're already referring to rocks. There's that.
Little wide and little wide.
For a moment then, I thought he'd lost the back end on that last little compression. Bounced right off line. He bounced right off line, but somehow recovered the car. Great car control from Lube, but I think he may have had his heart in his mouth there for a second. I certainly did. Good run though, still like 4.3 down. This could be on for also another strong time. Could put Taka for third on stage if he can keep this up.
I think the word committed definitely stands firm for Lube on this one. Let's see how he does towards the end then.
Great to see, isn't it? He's starting to feel it. Last couple of rallies, growing in confidence. The pace is there. Led really briefly in the last round in Portugal, but just little moments like that just give him something to build on. Get a close-up view of some of those rocks that Taka's referring to. Certainly going to be tough in the second pass this afternoon.
Yeah, and could it be raining out there this afternoon as well? Great time on the board. Third fastest puts Lube third overall, 4.7 seconds. Off the pace of Ogier in front. Let's pick up with Oliver Solberg and Elliot Edmondson now in WRC2. While we wait to hear from Pierre-Louis.
Pierre-Louis, you had a fantastic opening split, just 3/10 down on Seb's fastest time. How do you feel about your performance through that?
Yeah, okay, but after the water flash, unfortunately, we lose the engine power during 1-2K, so I think I lose a lot in the second split, no?
Hit log of water there. That's interesting. So we've seen that quite a few times with.
Just to show what a strong effort that was. He could have been even faster then without that. So a little bit of water then got over the top of the bonnet, maybe flooded the engine briefly. Thankfully it eventually cleared itself. Yeah, you do see that occasionally.
Oliver Solberg in the lead of WRC2 as we head into today. Strong time on the opening super special stage last night. It's Solberg, Mikko Marchik and Andreas Mikkelsen that make up the top three in WRC2. Kajtanovic in fourth position overall.
Yeah, we talked about it a lot, but of course Oliver just wanted to put that frustration of Portugal behind him. The time penalty costing him what was almost a certain victory. Would have been his second win of the year, but he's still 1 point behind Johan Russell in that title race. Gus Greensmith, his teammate, also right in the mix in the title race, but not scoring driver points this weekend. He is nominated for team points, but for a second there I thought he'd done what I was hoping nobody would do there. A little bit offline over the jump, but good, strong run for Oliver. Is that a little fist bump there? What is that?
No, I think he was describing something. I missed what he was saying, but we'll find out with Molly in a couple of moments. 7:30.5. We won't find out from Molly in a minute because she's headed off to Montelerno.
Oh.
It's kind of a tight road section for her to get around to the third stage of the loop, so she's had to leave.
Yeah, I was out in the stages here last year on the Friday. You don't quite realise. I mean, it's so mountainous. Sometimes the little road sections between stages actually include similar roads to this. So you're on narrow tracks trying to avoid traffic. It is a bit of a logistical mission, yeah, to get around this island. But look at the view; it is quite incredible. Well, let's see, can Oliver replicate his dad in taking a stage win here, certainly in the WRC2 class anyway.
Well, Mikkelsen's only 0.4 of a second behind at the final split point. He was 1.9 slower at the first split. So he has gained on Oliver through the stage. Let's see how he does in the final sector. We've got Greensmith in the stage, Formo and Sunanen. Now we've got you lovely lot out there as well. Welcome along to the coverage here in Italy. Sardinia, blue skies, sunshine at the moment. Rain forecast for this afternoon.
Saw a few rocks fly off from the Skoda's wake there. It's only the second time we're seeing the former WRC2 champ appear this year. Remains to be seen how many more rounds he will enter. Here we go then, flying finish. Oh, pretty close.
7:31.1 there, that's 0.6 of a second slower than Oliver's time. The splits behind, Greensmith 2.2 slower than Solberg. At the opening split, Formo at the same point, 4 seconds slower. Just to see the winner in Portugal, that huge battle with Oliver on the final day. And the winner of Rally Mexico as well.
Yeah, returning to Julian last night. It's an interesting dynamic, isn't it? That he's not scoring driver points, but yeah, he still opted to get a few team points for Top Sport. It just gives you something, doesn't it, to focus on over the weekend, and not just out there to sort of pick up some experience. And he has done this event 4 times before. He's finished 7th in WRC honours. That was last year, in fact. 4th in WRC2 Pro 5 years ago. There, his best result. I mean, it's that huge puddle down there.
Yeah, it's so rough in that sector. The holes in the road are where the puddles are. Second pass of this, PK.
Yeah, it's going to be...
With potentially, I mean, we have to say potentially because the showers that are forecast for later could be quite localised. Some drivers could get rain, maybe some won't.
I mean, you know it's localised. Just walking, from the studio section on the harbour before me, you can't see anything but blue sky on the horizon. But down over here in Olbia, of course, these guys are up in the mountains, a fair distance away, but it just shows you that island weather just sort of rolls across unpredictably. 4.6 off of Oliver's strong pace in there. really feel these bumps and crests in these Rally 2 cars, aren't you? They're not quite as sturdy as the sports top level.
Teemu Suunanen then, a man who seems to have been much in the news of late. Now, we do have a number of drivers within the stage. Adrian Formeau is in the stage at the minute, but we're not receiving at the moment his onboards. So he is there. Unfortunately, we can't see him. But I can tell you that he is 5.4 seconds slower than Oliver Solberg at the final split point. So apologies for that. Suunanen, though, is pretty close to Solberg at the first split, only 4/10 slower. Johan Rossell has just got underway, and so is Nikolai Bryasin.
Yeah, I just feel like Teemu needs to start getting some big scores, doesn't he, in WRC2 to get himself back in the mix in terms of the championship race. We know he's got the pace to peaks at the top in this category. He's only got a 6th in Sweden, a 5th in Portugal to his name so far.
That would have been the water splash as well that Pierre-Louis was referencing.
Young Rossell hoping to rediscover that missing balance. He just lost the sort of feeling with the Citroen, didn't he, over the last couple of days in Portugal?
Well, yeah. Over all the days, really, it was just a bit of a struggle. He kept thinking that there was actually some issue with the car, that there was something wrong, but just couldn't find pace with it in comparison to the others. He's 5.2 seconds off the pace on the opening split here.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because he still likes scoring good points, but certainly wasn't happy with the feeling.
So we've got Adrian Formeau through the stage with a 7:37, 6.5 seconds off the pace of Solberg. So Solberg stage still in WRC2 so far. Let's have a look at this second split soon. He's edging even closer, just 0.2 of a second behind now.
Yeah, I think you're right, though. This second pass through here later on is...
That's going to be brutal.
Going to be an adventure.
Absolutely. Yeah, adventure is one of the words. There's plenty to describe what the second pass of this will be like later. But it was always, wasn't it, who said how narrow it was. You really get a sense of that, even with the WRC2 cars. Still so narrow in sectors.
Yeah, let's see then. Can Teemu maintain that momentum as he tries to keep the I-20 in the middle of the road. Nasty looking rocks starting to appear in sections.
He's doing a good job to count down to Solberg's time. And he is slower by 0.7 of a second.
Good start. In fact, there could be game on already then in the fight at the front of WRC2. Solberg, Mikkelsen, Suunanen at the moment looking like the guys who are making the strongest, most aggressive start, taking a few risks on what is a very, very tricky start to Friday.
Au sommet, droite 160 minutes à 30 mètres, léger gauche 140, bref, 30 mètres, léger 140, bref, dans un droiti. Pour 80 mètres en haut, gauche à fond, pour droite 162 plus, ferme 150. Progressif, sur gauche à fond, ferme 150, progressif, sur gauche à fond. 80 mètres, au ciel.
Yeah, they didn't have much time today to try and get to the bottom of these sort of set-up handling issues that they had in Portugal. Julian had a bit of a chat to him yesterday. Sort of
second split, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, wow, yeah.
It's 11.8 seconds. I mean, maybe he's decided not to give it too much of a push in here because of the roughness, but he is now, starting to lose too much time. Everyone is so evenly matched.
And in this section through here, as you mentioned earlier, it's just so about survival at times through some of these sequences of corners.
Yeah, maybe he's got a strategy in place. I mean, we've got to remember that we've got 2 more stages to go. The shorter Terra Nova test, but the shortness does not, even describe the fact that it is a tough stage. They're all challenging here in Sardinia. Just because Monteleno has a whopping 50 kilometres doesn't mean it's the toughest stage out there this weekend.
Gauche 90, pour droite à Pompitard, 50 mètres, après 30 mètres, droite 160 axes, dans gauche 6 droite tout droit, et gauche à fond 50 mètres, droite 162 moins, pour gauche 160 axes.
A lot of time though potentially for our WRC2 Championship leader to be losing in one stage, under 11 kilometres. Here's the flying finish. Wow.
14.6 off the pace of Solberg's time, which is still the fastest within WRC2. That's Johan Rossell and Arnaud Dunant. Safely through the stage. And this is the last car we'll be covering here at this one before we get ourselves ready for the next test at Terra Nova. Let's take a look at the classifications for you. Ogier with a fantastic time to kickstart the day with a 7:19.2. Equally as good was Lappi, just 1.7 seconds behind. Then Pierre-Louis Loubet, 4.7 seconds off the pace. Then Takakat Suter, 4th fastest, and Neuville, 5th fastest. Let's take a look at the overall classifications for you as well, to remind you as to where everyone is standing. Ogier is into the lead here, with Esa-Pekka Lappi dropping down to 2nd. There's only 0.4 of a second separating them. Pierre-Louis Loubet moves into 3rd position overall. Takakat Suter is just 0.4 behind in 4th, and Neuville completes the top 5. And that's the way it stands after 2 completed stages here in Sardinia.